Welcome back to Coffee and Conversation. So for all our Audie fans, my bad boy is back in the bedroom sleeping. He's been doing a lot of that lately, and I'm not sure if this is him acting out, because I left him for an entire day. And if I had continued to stay away for an entire day, after some period of time, he might have starved. So I'm not sure if he's trying to make me pay for that or if he's just getting old and lazy. But yesterday, when I finished the video, he did come out as soon as I had turned the camera off and started prepping for the editing. Out trots Audie, looking around. It's like, I am here. Where are my loyal fans? I said, you have missed them, you silly, lazy cat. You slept through the whole thing. So, yes, I think ultimately this is an example of you snooze, you lose. So, we'll see if he comes out today. I'd love it if he did, but I'm not holding my breath waiting for it. Okay, yesterday, when we were taking a look at the repair work I was doing on the Ralph Lauren jacket that I recently picked up, I showed you a piece of jewelry that I had been trying on the jacket to see if it would work. I don't know about the rest of you, and Lord, maybe this is just a me thing, but if I get a new piece of clothing or a new piece of jewelry, I generally, if it's jewelry, I'll try it on my existing clothing to try to see what it goes with. Or if it's clothing, I'll try my existing jewelry on it. I'm starting to think this is just a me thing. Let me know in the comments, and do be kind. Yes, I know, I'm getting old. This is probably senility, but it is something I do, mostly because I like to have some idea of how I'm going to integrate any new piece into my wardrobe. Yeah, for me, usually it's just like, well, I'm just going to wear it and see what happens. But I do have some interesting bits of jewelry that I thought I would like to share with you, mostly because the overwhelming majority of my jewelry is like either gifts, because I don't want to make any financial judgments about the gifts that I've received. Even if there was not a lot of material cost, most of the time somebody went to the bother of making it for me, and suddenly, wow, the value goes up exponentially when that happens. But for the most part, anything I've acquired is pocket change. I do not spend a lot of money on jewelry, but I can get a big impact from what I buy. So I thought we would take a look at this. So we're going to take a look at the intro. We're going to come back and we're going to get right into it. This was the little piece of jewelry that got us started on this odd little tangent. And as I said, mechanical pencil. It's a tie bar meant to go on a man's tie, secure it in place, and the gentleman in question would have a little mechanical pencil if he wanted to take notes. Now, let me show you a close-up picture of this. I did photograph everything we're going to talk about today, simply because I know how difficult it can be to get a good idea of what something looks like when you're seeing it from a distance. I mean, I'm a couple of feet back from the camera, so yeah, it's better to just get a close-up picture. So that is a picture of the tie bar that I have, that I am going to use basically as a brooch. I have another jacket I use that tie bar as a brooch on the other jacket, so this should fit in nicely. That is something I got when I spent, oh Lord, I think it was like $17 getting a collection of cufflinks on eBay. They were old cufflinks, vintage mostly from the 50s. And I thought to myself, well, for $17, I will pick the good ones out and the not so good ones, because there was a whole bunch of them. Usually the not so good ones are utterly worthless. They're either broken or they are so inexpensive to begin with. They're not even worth the time it takes, to clean them up and donate them somewhere. But I did get several pair of cufflinks with that particular tie bar. My problem is I use tie clip, tie tack, tie bar all interchangeably, mostly because I come from a generation in which tie tacks, tie bars, tie clips, anything that held your tie together was ordinary. This is what happened. Daddy put his tie on, he got his tie bar or his tie tack or his tie clip or his tie clasp, and it was more generic than anything else. So I tend to think generically about these, but I should be clear. That is a tie bar. A lot of them had a sort of alligator clip on the back. This simply has a little bent piece of metal. You just slip it on. But yeah, very ordinary from my childhood. So let me just quickly pull out some cufflinks, because I did want you to see these. And I believe all of them that I am going to show you are from the haul in which I got that interesting little tie bar. So I ended up setting aside 4 pair of cufflinks because 4 of them were reasonably good. So let me start with these. And this is silver with a little black enamel stripe running on the inside, as you can see. I hung on to these because mid-century jewelry styles are very similar to Art Deco jewelry styles. I love Art Deco. I am utterly indifferent to mid-century. Mid-century, I have friends who are crazy about it. Means nothing to me. I am strictly Deco, and I thought this, oh yeah, nice clean Deco lines. So I hung on to them. They are not valuable cufflinks. These would have been fairly low-end cufflinks back in the 50s when they were new, and I expect that whoever bought them, first of all, didn't give them much wear because there's virtually no scratching on them. So they come to me in pretty good condition. But are they valuable? Not even close. But given the fact that I do use cufflinks, having a pair of black and silver cufflinks is, well, see, I'm saying this as if, if you were all gentlemen in the 1950s, you would know this. Black and silver is one of the classic combinations for cufflinks, and a well-dressed gentleman 70 years ago would have needed that in his wardrobe. You see these videos all the time. If you're only going to have 6 sweaters, which sweaters should you have? Well, if you're only going to have 6 pair of cufflinks, one of them is going to be black and silver. And this is silver. Here's the picture. As you can see, we're looking at silver and what I think is a sort of smoky malachite. I'm not sure. Again, these were in a box I got on eBay. It's a sort of cloudy gray stone. I don't have any gray in my wardrobe at all, but because we're dealing with a silver setting and these nice sort of iridescent gray stones. The stones are kind of an extension of the silver, on a continuum, silver into gray, and they're not offering a separate color. And I think also these are an extremely neutral, a very neutral, very subtle design. And again, if you're only going to have maybe 6 pair of cufflinks, I would say that would probably be another one, because you would want a nice even mix of silver and gold. And speaking of gold, let's take a look at this. All right, let me grab these so you can see them. And see, this is why we need photos, because the light is reflecting like crazy off these. These are plain gold squares with what I believe is little moonstone discs in it, white opalescent. Again, as the last two, not very expensive at all, period. But again, the last two were silver. These are gold and white and pearly. Oh yeah, great neutral. And this is the final pair of cufflinks I got in that box. And this is the pair I bought the box of cufflinks for, because I knew right away these were a lot older, and I'm not prepared to say how much older. Again, a box of stuff on eBay, but the little stones on either end of these knots are rubies, and it's a nice gold. I believe it's only gold plated. And of course, the rubies are very, very, very tiny. These were not valuable pieces, but they were definitely a little bit above, you know, your standard cheap costume jewelry. And I just really happen to like them. And again, these are angled pieces. So interesting, I think. And as I say, this is what I bought them for. This was the pair that caught my attention. So I walked away with a tie bar / brooch and 4 pair of cufflinks out of a $17 box of junk on eBay. That's how I like to get my jewelry. And these are very useful, because when I ended up with this interesting assortment, I have something virtually for any occasion. If I never get another cufflink as long as I live, I'll probably be absolutely fine with just those. And because I do use French cuffs, again, like cufflinks, I thought it was worthwhile just grabbing a few pair. And at the time that I bought them, I said, well, I'm going to get these and they'll sort of fill the gap, give me something at least marginally serviceable until I decide I'm going to go out and do some serious cufflink shopping. I don't think I'm going to do that. I think I have all I need right now. So I'm not kidding when I say my jewelry is cheap. But here, I decided to wear this for you. This is, and I do not have a photograph of this. I did not take this down and photograph it. This would be an adventure. This is a little crocheted chain of beads. We have little amethyst-looking beads and little peridot-looking beads and little pearls. And Randy, one of our viewers, made this for me. And this is crocheted. Now, if I take this off, oh, and by the way, you can tell how often I wear this, and I do wear it. I do love this piece. I wear this, gosh, I wear it all the time. I could get it to wrap around my neck 4 times in one fell swoop. Just grab, drape, 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 drape out the door. That's how used to draping this piece around my neck I am at this point. This is probably at least 9 feet long if you just hold it out. When I hold it out doubled, it comes about up to my chin. So I'm figuring, is that 4.5 feet? I'm guessing. Must be. Close to it. Who knows? Anyway, very, very long piece. This was a gift from one of our viewers. So, why do I need to buy jewelry when I have such generous viewers? But let me show you another piece. And this one, get this out there. No, 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 where are you? There you are. This. Now let me show you the photo of this. This piece was made by Karen Hopper, one of our Suemeangels. And I love this. This is somewhere between steampunk and brutalism, and I don't even know. I do not know what this is. The steampunk aspects were the first that grabbed me, and then I said, well, brutalism, I think. This is fantastic. So let me show you some other views of this, because I can wear this in any orientation I want. This is one of those great pieces that, you know, it doesn't have to be right side up or upside down. And I took a picture of that piece on that jacket yesterday when I realized, oh, Karen's piece will go great here. And I started playing with it and said, well, how would I orient that? And because you can orient this piece any way you want to. Point up, point down. You know, is it pointing left? Is it pointing right? It's fantastic. I think I like the way I have it on the jacket. But I love that piece. I am crazy about that piece. And now I absolutely have a piece of clothing I can wear it with, because I think the jacket really demanded this piece. So, hey, win, win, win. But I love that. And I do have a number of odd pieces like this. Let me see about digging out. Okay, while we are on the subject of viewer gifts, I have to show you these. And Lisa of DesertDragonworks, she's another of our Suemeangels. And gosh, these people are so crafty. She made a pair of little Audie pins. Now, they're not a match set. They're very, very cute. So it's good that they're not a match set, because I am going to separate them. And I've been saying I got to do this for a while, because I am going to offer one of these as a giveaway. I have had these for, gosh, I think Lisa made these something like 5 years ago. And they are terrific. They are just gorgeous little Audie cats. And I will always hold on to at least one of them for sentiment. And I think the other one I'm going to turn into a giveaway and share it with our viewers, because they are great. So, yeah, it's another little thing. I have no lack of jewelry, and fortunately, I have no lack of people willing to make jewelry for me. Oh my goodness, it's like I've died and gone to heaven. So I am going to put one of these in an upcoming giveaway, and I gotta tell you, I have no idea which one. I love them equally. But this is another one of my little oddball pieces. This is some sort of like acrylic. And let me show you the picture of this. As you can see, it's a fan, and a fan shape. And let me show you its friend, the friend that came with it. To be perfectly honest with you, I have no idea what the intended orientation of this piece is. Is this the way it's supposed to go, or like this? No idea. Again, a nice little fan shape, acrylic. And this was another eBay find when I was looking for celluloid fans, which I collect. and wear as jewelry. But they were just cute. I saw them and I said, oh, coming home with me. But again, lots of bang for your buck. I do not remember how much I paid for those two pieces, but I promise you, it was not much. And as you can see, this is probably from the 1980s, when things like this were just what people did. So those, I expect in all likelihood, those are probably going to become giveaway pieces too. They were just something that caught my fancy, and I said, oh, I'll take those. So that is sort of the upside of being able to do regular giveaways, which hopefully will get rolling again. It does give me an opportunity to find interesting bargains and say, you know, something like that, too good to pass up. Well, maybe I will be passing it up, but I will be grabbing it and passing it along instead, so that I don't have to walk away from a too good to be passed up deal. So when we start looking at these things, yeah, most of my jewelry is dirt cheap. It really is. Over the years, one of the things that I have learned is that very few people will walk up to you and immediately know the difference between a valuable piece of jewelry and a pretty piece of costume jewelry. So most of the time, if you are spending loads and loads of money on jewelry, you may not be getting your money's worth in terms of the visual impact it has for others. People are probably just not going to know the difference. So next up, I wanted to show you a couple of things I have that are a little unusual. Again, not very expensive. I think these were thrift store finds. But it's a type of jewelry you just don't see very often these days. And it's dress clips. And let me start with this one. And see, they have a little clip on the back, and they snap down on the edge of your dress. So I will show you a photograph of this, even though, as you can see the way it's glittering in the light, when I took the picture, you're not going to see all of this glitter. It actually looked very dark and dull, mostly because I took the photos this afternoon, and today is an overcast day. Dress clips were huge in the 1930s, 1940s, pretty much through the end of the 50s. And then they just dropped off the planet. They went from being this trendy thing everyone had to have to being, huh, what's that? They are coming back. And a piece like this, not very expensive. And here's the picture. So you can see I got a pair of them. And they're relatively small. You can see that in relation to my hand. They're interesting. They're cute. Very ordinary in terms of dress clips. This is a typical dress clip, not valuable by any stretch of the imagination, but just a little interesting something. This is another pair of dress clips, and this is one of them in the pair. And again, I'm sorry, the photos, because here's the photo. As you can see, the photos are really not, they were not well lit, so my apologies for that. This is a little multicolored dress clip. I have a pair of them. They were a little more interesting because all of the little colored I was going to say gemstones. They are not gemstones. They are little bits of cut glass. Not very expensive, again, but it was something in which you would get a big bang for your buck. So I thought we would just take the opportunity to have a look at some of these things. Some of them, like the dress clips, you may never have seen them before. If you haven't, by the way, you probably will, because they do seem to be making a comeback. Although I don't know of anybody who is currently making dress clips now. I think they're making a comeback as a vintage piece. People are going into the thrift stores and the antique malls and finding them and wearing them. And good for them. I think that's fantastic. But there are so many types of jewelry out there that they give you such a terrific bang for your buck. I want you to remember that men's jewelry, and remember, half of what I showed you today is men's jewelry, maybe more than half. A fair percentage of the jewelry I've shown you today is men's jewelry, and you can get men's jewelry like cufflinks, tie tacks, tie bars, tie clips. You can get that stuff in thrift stores and on eBay or Etsy for pennies. I'm not exaggerating. You saw I got five pieces that are sitting in my jewelry box at the moment for $17, meaning the average price for each one of those was $3 and change. You can't beat that. Honestly, you can't. So keep an open mind. I happen to like streamlined jewelry, so it appeals to me. A lot of people have much more frilly feminine tastes. Hey, you can find those things too. But I thought it was worth at least exploring a bit of this, just because when we think jewelry, most of us are not thinking, I'm going to go check out eBay. I'm going to go check out a thrift store. I'm going to go raid grandma's jewelry box and find some interesting piece of costume trash that grandma wore to church in 1951. Go for it. Go for it. Because, in fact, there's no rule that says if you didn't pay a lot of money for it, it doesn't count. Because, as I say, the overwhelming majority of my jewelry I did not pay a lot of money for. And I have no problem with this. Would I trade these pieces? You know, I would not trade them for the Hope Diamond, to tell you the truth, because I like jewelry that has sentiment for me, that somehow is connected to me, that somebody crocheted for me. You know, nobody crocheted the Hope Diamond for me, thank you very much. So we have other options. And that was what this whole video was about. Don't overlook the very easily overlooked options. The eBay grab bags, the men's jewelry, the thrift stores, the found stuff. That beautiful steampunk brutalist piece that Karen made, that's found stuff. That was absolutely found stuff. I dare say, probably found junk. It was probably something somebody else had already thrown away, because Karen's specialty is repurposing. So, yeah, enjoy, but don't overlook the things that are inclined to be overlooked. Keep your eyes peeled. Look at it with Karen's eyes, because she looks at this stuff and she doesn't see junk. She sees jewelry. All right, that is what I have for you today. We are going to take a look at a slideshow on the way out. For those of you who join us tonight for Just Chatting, it's 8 p.m. New York City time. By the way, I think we're all on the same time, all of our different time zones, but I don't think some of us are on daylight savings and some are not. I think the world has normalized now, so our time difference is now consistent. But remember, New York City time. And I hope to see you then. If not, I would love to see you back next week. And in the meanwhile, have a terrific day.